Hey everyone, it's Carissa Wiley at SprinkledWithGlitter.com. Thanks for joining me today. Today I am sharing 4 holiday card projects, and I created these by taking one background and splitting it in two different ways. I'm going to show you how I did that, but first I want to show you this collection that I'm working with. This is Yana's De-Light-Ful Christmas collection from Yana Smakula and Spellbinders, and I absolutely love the elegant designs in this holiday collection. This is a hot foil background, and then of course we have some fabulous sentiments with coordinating dies. I love it when they include some coordinating dies, and there's also some like straighter font sentiments that you can create sub-sentiments with below. We have this joyful hot foil set, which is a 2-piece set. And then finally, the collection's namesake, the De-Light-Ful Christmas Glimmer set. This is a strand of colorful lights, which I think is so fun. And then finally, there is a gorgeous 3D embossing folder. You're going to see that in action twice today. And then there is also this gorgeous poinsettia bloom die set. Now I'm going to start by doing all of my hot foiling at once. So I have my Glimmer hot foil platform here. It's heated up, and I've placed that holly leaf background onto my Glimmer platform. And while that timer kind of runs through its timing process, I went ahead and cut my champagne foil and alabaster cardstock from Spellbinders. Once that timer is done, the light will be solid, and you can remove the platform from the base, take it over to your Platinum 6, add your foil and your cardstock, and then your spacer pad and your shim there. Run that through the Platinum 6, and then you're going to have some gorgeous foiled results. Now, I left that process in here in real time so that you could see that you don't have to rush this process. And look, when I pull that off of the platform and I remove the foil, this is absolutely gorgeous. Now I'm going to do some of those sentiments as well. I'm following the same procedure that I did before. Remember, when you're hot foiling, you're going to place the pretty side of the foil towards the pretty side of the design of the hot foil plates. Then you're going to lay your cardstock on that, and then your thin shim and your spacer pad, or whatever they're called. Those 2 plates that come with the machine, run it through your Platinum 6, and I get great results every single time. Now I'm also going to do some foiling with this joyful set. This is a 2-piece set. So I'm starting out with the word portion of this, and I'm hot foiling this onto alabaster cardstock once again. And once again, I'm leaving this in real time. I'm not rushing this. And I have found that if I do not add my foil onto the cardstock until I take it over to the Platinum 6 and start building my sandwich, I get less overfoiling that way. So that's just me, but if you're having problems with some overfoiling, maybe try adding your foil on at the last minute and running it through the machine. Now in this instance, because I'm lining this up with another hot foil design, I am going to have to put the foil on before I place this onto my Glimmer platform. So to do this, I am just looking through this kind of holiday greenery pattern. It kind of nestles right around those hot foiled letters that are already on my cardstock. Then I'm going to tape this in place using the Spellbinders Best Ever Craft Tape, and I am going to use the hinge method. So I'm going to flip that plate over, leaving it attached to the cardstock with that tape, and then add my foil underneath. And then I'll place this entire thing onto my Glimmer platform, set my timer. Once the timer's done, I'm gonna move that over to my Platinum 6 machine, add my spacer pad and my shim, and run that through. And you can see I'm just going at a steady pace. And now I have this beautiful greenery surrounding the letters that I previously hot foiled. So you could use the joyful on its own, or you can add that beautiful greenery detail. Now for the sentiments, I am lining up the coordinating dies and holding them in place again with that Spellbinders Best Ever Craft Tape. And I'm going to run that through my die cut machine. And now I have some beautiful foiled and die cut sentiments. I am so amazed at how beautifully these foiled on this alabaster cardstock. I think the Spellbinders colored cardstocks really are created with foiling in mind. So I do find good results when I hot foil onto the colored cardstocks from Spellbinders. Now I've also used the A2 dies from Spellbinders to die cut that joyful. And now we're going to get into the Holly background coordinating stencil set that is available for the Holly background glimmer set. And you can see each of these layering stencils has a number in the lower right hand corner, and I'm going to line up that first one. I actually just did it by looking over the image and just lining up the openings in the stencil with the hot foiled lines on my image. And then I'm going in with a blending brush and some Concord and Ninth parsley colored ink to ink blend over this. Now I'm going to kind of speed through some of this ink blending process because it really is just placing the stencils and then adding the ink over the top. And then I'm going to kind of talk you through some of the shading that I did. So on stencil number 1, I went over the entire thing with the parsley colored ink. And now I'm going to set that aside and I'm going to bring in stencil number 2. Now for stencil number 2, I am using Concord and Ninth artichoke ink. And once again, just blending over the entire thing. Now here's where I decided I wanted to go back and add some depth to the layer 1 that I had previously done. So I replaced that stencil and now I'm using a smaller blending brush to add some of that artichoke ink just at the base of the leaves. Now I'm moving on to stencil 3, and for this I'm using Concord and Ninth juniper ink. This is more of a blue green, and I think by using the varieties of greens on this background, it really brings it to life. Now, before I remove this stencil, I'm going to go ahead and just wipe off some of the excess ink. And then I'm going to come in with some Concord and Ninth evergreen ink. And once again, I'm just going to add a little bit of shading to the base of these holly leaves. So I added the shading with the mini blending brushes on stencils 1 and stencil 3. I didn't do that on stencil 2 because the areas are so small. Now for my 4th and final stencil, I'm going over the entire open areas of the stencil with Concord and Ninth poppy ink, and I used a mini blending brush for that. And now I'm coming in with Concord and Ninth cranberry ink. It's a darker red ink, and I'm just going over some of the berries on the background just to add a little color variation, and that completes my background with all that gorgeous color. So now I'm going to take this and I'm going to make 2 cards from this single background because why not? So I'm starting out with the A2 dies from Spellbinders, and I chose a die that fits right around the outside of this design. And then I nestled one of the smaller dies inside and I ran those both through my die cut machine at once. So now I am left with a frame with that beautiful holly background and a smaller panel that I can use on a single card. Now, I love the Spellbinders embossing folders, and that's because you can actually emboss an entire 8.5 by 5.5 sheet of cardstock. So that means, once again, I'm going to be able to get 2 backgrounds out of 1 piece of cardstock with just 1 pass through my die cut machine. So I'm using Concord and Ninth evergreen cardstock here. I have wiped down the back of that with a baby wipe to kind of loosen the fibers of the paper so I won't get any cracking. And then I'm going to run that through my Platinum 6 die cut machine with the sandwich recommended on the universal plates for the Platinum 6. And look at this beautiful embossed holly background. I think it is so gorgeous. Now I'm going to take this and place it into my trimmer and cut this at 4 1/4, and that's going to give me 2 backgrounds from 1 embossed piece of cardstock that I can then use on 2 separate cards. And I did this same thing for the white backgrounds on the other 2 cards that I'm going to be showing you today. Now, to add a little depth and drama to this cardstock, I'm taking the Concord and Ninth evergreen ink and ink blending around the edge of this cardstock, and look at the difference it makes on that cardstock. So beautiful, so dramatic, so rich and lovely for the holidays. And then when I'm done, I can just use a spray bottle filled with some rubbing alcohol and my microfiber cloth to clean up my glass mat. I love my Glassboard Studio glass craft mat. I think it is one of the best things in my craft room, and you can find it linked below. Now I'm going to include some vellum elements on these cards as well. So I've die cut a vellum circle from some Essentials by Ellen Vellum, and I'm going to run it through using this 3D embossing folder again. Once again, I've kind of wiped down the back of it with a baby wipe. And you can see I held it in place in the area I wanted it on my embossing folder using just a little bit of that craft tape. And I have a beautiful embossed image on this vellum. And I think embossed vellum is super cool. It just gives those raised areas with those hard white outlines. It's absolutely beautiful. So I'm going to finish off my cards here. I'm just adding my sentiment onto a strip of some cranberry cardstock. I've layered this panel with a little bit of vellum behind it, and I've placed it on top of that dark green embossed piece using some foam adhesive. And then finally, I'm going to add that sentiment strip right in that lower right hand kind of third of this card using some more foam adhesive. And that completes my first card. Now for the second card created using this single background, I am going to go ahead and add the frame onto this embossed panel, once again using some foam adhesive, because if you know me, I like big cards and I cannot lie. Such a clean version compared to the original version. So now I have my vellum circle. I'm going to trim off just a little bit of that right edge and add a thin bead of liquid glue and kind of tuck it underneath that frame. I have a strip of cranberry cardstock once again that I'm adding, and then finally my sentiment on top of that. Now I wanted to show you how I added some color to this greenery around this beautiful, joyful hot foil set. I'm just using some water-based markers. These are Karen markers and a blender pen from Tombow to pick up some of this ink off of my glass surface and then color in those greenery and berry images. And then for this card, I'm just gonna add a simple Joy to the World sentiment strip there on the bottom and a little bit of twine, and I'm going to add it onto another piece of cardstock that I have embossed using that Holly 3D embossing folder. I think it's so gorgeous. And check out this twine, guys. I found this at Spellbinders website. They didn't send it to me. I bought it with my own dollars. It is like this gorgeous green color with a little bit of gold mixed in, and they also have a pink one, which I think is amazing, that I bought as well. And I am adding this twine to both of these cards that I'm creating. Now I'm keeping a lot of the elements the same on these cards. So I have that cranberry cardstock, the foiled sentiments. I have a little bit of that green twine on these cards. And for this second set of cards, I'm going to add them onto card bases that I created from that same Alabaster cardstock. So I did want to mention that all of the foiled sentiments that I die cut here, I did stack those up to add a little bit of dimension and a little more drama onto these cards. But that finishes off my 4 cards for today. I only created 3 backgrounds technically, and then split them into pieces to create 4 different cards. These really did go quick because I did all of my foiling at once, and then I was able to get these 2-for-1 designs out of my embossed pieces and my hot foiled and stencil pieces. And I think this collection from Yana is absolutely gorgeous. So if you want to check out Yana's new delightful Christmas collection from Spellbinders, I will have links to that in the YouTube description below, as well as the other featured products used in these projects. I always have that kind of link down below for you so you can find what you're looking for. Or you can head on over to my blog at SprinkledWithGlitter.com. I'll have that linked below as well. Over there, you'll find more still shots, more information, and a complete list of supplies. As always, thank you so much for stopping by, and thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed these projects, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications here so you don't miss any of my paper crafting and card making video tutorials. Also, be sure to leave me a comment below and let me know which of these 4 cards is your favorite. I can't wait to hear, and I think I know what mine is. It might be that very first one that says Christmas Blessings, but I'd love to hear what you think as well. Thanks again for watching. I'm so glad you're here, and until next time, I hope you have a fabulous day. Hey, thanks for sticking around to the very end. You know, if you've made it this far, you are one of my favorites. To subscribe to my channel, go ahead and click the button on the left side of the screen. And here's a couple more video tutorials I thought you might enjoy.